When most people think of RPGs, the first games that come to mind are things like Skyrim, The Witcher, or more recently Baldur's Gate 3. Games that have a deep level of character builds and customization. A sense of leveling progression as you put more and more work into your character. Most people wouldn't really classify GTA as such. However, you are in essence playing a role, that of a career criminal, making their way through the underworld of their city and their character arc. GTA 6 has taken the role-playing element one step further. From some of the latest news, it's going to be pretty epic for the players that enjoy it, especially as Take-Two and Rockstar have made the momentous decision to walk back their hostility to modders. Take-Two's history with modders has been extremely antagonistic. In the past, mostly in cynical attempts to protect their bottom line, they have engaged in rampant campaigns of cease and desist notices to bring mods and their developers down. In spite of these egregious slaps in the face to fans, it's not hard to see why. The majority of these community-driven projects were attempts to keep older versions of GTA games relevant and playable on modern platforms. Nostalgic love for letters to the forgotten games of the franchise, made by the fans for the fans. Sniffing out some of the profits to be made, Take-Two saw a market for their older IPs and moved to have the lovingly restored versions pulled down so that their cheaply slapped-together ports could be rushed out to market. Unfortunately for pretty much every single party involved, this move backfired miserably. Community developers who had, for the most part, been creating and maintaining these ports for free were forced to take down their work or face legal action. Take-Two, for their part, were hammered hard for pushing out poorly ported trash. Riddled with bugs and graphical eldritch horrors, their elder games ran like absolute garbage when compared to the stuff that modders had been putting together for free. Thus, ultimately fans lost out the most. Where they once had something where they could play their favorite old GTA games for free at a level of quality befitting of them, now they had to fork out money for literal trash that the devs couldn't be asked to actually put a scintilla of effort into. A crying shame, but a nice log to the pile to prove that capitalism doesn't always breed innovation. However, the devs seem to have turned on their heels. As we mentioned in our previous video, Rockstar have hired the team behind CFX.RE. In a nutshell, CFX.RE was the tool behind the 5M and RedM communities, servers that allowed for role-playing modded servers to run independently of Rockstar's official servers. All that players needed was an official copy of the game in order to use it. After that, they were free to play the game online with their friends, exactly the way that they wanted to play it. So what does this mean? Will we have an online mode that entirely revolves around role-playing? Probably not. It's unlikely that this will change much of the vanilla experience of GTA 6 and its online mode. What it will do links straight back to the devs' decision to take down mods in the first place before turning about to welcome them. Money, dear viewer. They want them Benjamins. Anyone who has spent any time playing a Rockstar game beyond its initial story knows that they will try to squeeze every single penny that they can from their player base, grand thefting our hard-earned cash in some pretty egregious ways. Their decision to hire the CFX.RE team is nothing but one more cynical investment. However, all isn't entirely lost. Sometimes what investors want and what players want can actually be the same thing, a symbiotic, mutually beneficial relationship that can improve the quality of the experience all around. Rockstar is absolutely going to monetize this aspect of their game. How they do it remains to be seen. In the worst case, we're looking at some kind of extra paywall, such as a subscription to allow tool access for modders or for the players that download the mods. A fee to get your servers whitelisted. We don't know for sure. The best case scenario is something similar to what we've seen already. Microtransactions for in-game cosmetics. Ideally not for in-game cash as well, as no one likes a pay-to-win system. But if that's the way they want to go, then that's the way the cookie will crumble. The good news is that there will be some kind of dedicated feature to allow players to enjoy modded servers. That will include roleplay, likely through a menu interface between story mode, online mode, and a server browser to allow you to find your favorite role-playing servers if that's your thing. Role-playing is a very popular aspect of gaming, and it exists in one form or another across a lot of different game genres. There are army units dedicated to replicating real-life armed conflict, people living out their zombie apocalypse fantasies together in zomboid servers, even an entire Roblox replication of the British Army, all relying heavily on mods and mod support. While the online mode might not become its own role-playing service, there will certainly be options out there for others who would prefer it. The vanilla online experience will still exist in whatever shape or form Rockstar molded into. It will likely have its story missions, its downloadable content and new heist missions, released over the course of the game, probably over a decade or so, right up to when fans start getting antsy for GTA 7. And the gang here at Heist Central are getting excited for some new GTA VR experience or something. The option to enjoy roleplay will now have the support of official Rockstar development, as well as a wide open welcome to community-built mods. That is probably the biggest moneymaker here. Not only that, but a lot of games that encourage modders to build on and improve their game's experience will often incorporate some of the best mods and their ideas into their base games. This isn't so much a case of many chefs spoiling the broth, but more like an open forum of innovative ideas and improvements. Being in the development bubble can box stuff into a stifling lack of new ideas. See any Call of Duty game if you don't believe us. Allowing those on the outside to fiddle and play with the game can really open it up to new and interesting things. GTA 6 Online will probably have its own story. With character tie-ins making it a much more cinematic experience, it'll be designed in the same vein as GTA 5 Online, to keep the game going for as long as possible and keep players coming back for more and more content. New DLC content will be released regularly, along with content updates and seasonal events with new items to buy. Rockstar will milk the gravy train for everything that it's worth. Servers that are modded specifically for roleplay will not be as cinematic, but then again, that's not really the point of them. In these game modes, the stories are made by the players. Unique, one-of-a-kind experiences that can only be had in these environments. To highlight what we mean, here are a few shining examples of just how much fun people have within these role-playing servers. Now, whatever you think about role-playing and make-believe, in essence that is basically what all games are. These guys are just taking it to the next level. Rather than being criminals, the players of Major League Roleplay here are playing the part of law enforcement. From the mods they have, the way their characters look, even down to the way they talk to each other in-game. It is all built around immersion. Everyone involved is immersing themselves in the experience of making a realistic experience for each other to enjoy. It's heart-pounding, tense action that is built entirely by the players in the server, where no story or encounter can ever be the same. Obviously, when a real law enforcement official sees the server gameplay and reacts to it, they're gonna have, let's call them pointers, but don't let that take away from the experience. You can't expect people who are playing pretend to get everything right, and there is such a thing as too realistic. The point being that these players are looking for a very unique kind of gameplay, and the modded servers have allowed them to craft it. They're dedicated to immersing themselves into their roles, not just for their benefit, but the benefits of the people they're playing with. You are also limited by the game and what it is actually capable of, but it is nonetheless commendable that these guys are committed to realistic and immersive gameplay. Just listen to their radio call-outs and voice procedures. In another example that is probably a bit more on the far-fetched side, there are some players taking on the role of a special forces unit. Regardless of how realistic or not this might seem, what it showcases is that there are players out there pitting themselves against each other by taking on roles within their own game worlds. A team of bank robbers taking hostages and trying to escape on one side, special forces trying to bring them down and keep the hostages safe on the other. What starts as a negotiation quickly deteriorates into a high-stakes chase and intense gunfight. While someone who is probably in the special forces or military in real life might have a lot of comments, that's really besides the point. The guys playing are working and coordinating together to fulfill the mission that they set out for themselves. Rather than letting the game hold their hand and tell them how to play, they're making up their own games within the game. Whether or not role-playing is your thing, it is certainly a very rewarding experience and a lot of fun for those that take part in it. Allowing players to have their cake and eat it too is going to massively improve the longevity of the game, which is precisely what Rockstar have stated out loud that they want to do for GTA 6. Want to roleplay all over the daddy YouTube algorithm? Slip into a nice comfy role while it tickles your fancy? Then like, subscribe, and tell it who's boss. It exists for you and you alone, giving you all the content that you want. If you want more GTA and Rockstar content, then what are you waiting for? Allow it to be served right to your screen.